Hello, beautiful people, and welcome to your weekly energy forecast. Up ahead, here we go. There's a couple of things that are happening this week, some things to pay close attention to and keep a sharp eye around. First and foremost, what we're looking at here is Venus entering Libra. Venus will be entering Libra on Thursday, and we're also looking at retrograde Chiron, which begins today. So we have a Chiron retrograde moment. We have Venus entering Libra. What does that all mean? What does this moment mean? What is it really pointing us toward? So let's talk about first Chiron retrograding in Taurus. Now, Chiron has been in Aries for about 7 years or so, and it just entered Taurus recently. And anytime we're looking at Chiron, we're talking about a collective wound. It's a personal wound, but it's also a collective wound. In Aries, it's the wounding of self, Aries self, the wounding of me and who am I, the wounding of agency as well in this world, the agency to do what we want, to act in ways that we desire, in a very Aries way. We all came into this world kind of wanting to do whatever it is we wanted. And as little people, parents, caregivers, teachers, whatever you want to call it, they had a role. They played a role in asserting some control around whatever it is we are, whatever we want to do. And in that, collectively, there has been a placement of a wound of, well, I can't do that. I don't want to do that. And I wish I can do it. And Aries, the medicine here is to just really do it. Now, if you have Chiron and Aries natally in your chart, meaning that you open up your chart and you look at this little symbol here and you see the Aries glyph, which is this, then you might have felt this transit in a more literal, potent way. So the conversation is shifting from the wounding of self to now the wounding of values, the wounding of the body, the wounding of that gut response. Let's understand what Taurus teaches us evolutionarily, revolutionarily as well. So in the first house, we're talking about Aries themes. We're talking about the self. Who am I? How we operate in this world. This sort of forever becoming. It's how we become in the first house. Your rising sign is how you become yourself, how you become your sun, which is the ego self. And then once we move into the second house after the first house, boom, newborn into the world, crying out, I have needs, I am here, I have arrived, all of that. Second house is I want, I desire, but through the body. I'm hungry. I'm tired. The medicine of Taurus is inherently simple. When I'm hungry, I eat. When I'm tired, I sleep. ... This feeling of security that Taurus really strives for. Fixed earth. It harnesses the earth, harnesses the elemental powers of the earth, from which everything fruitful and bountiful can grow from. Taurus enters a room, feels good, smells good. All of those beautiful bodily responses come through. And what happens to the body? We go, yeah, I can chill here. I can rest here. Go down a dark and dingy alleyway. Smells like garbage, smells like trash. It's dark, it's cold, it's damp. The body responds in a very different way. Chances are you're going to turn around and go, not going to go down that way. I'm going to go over here where it's beautiful and it's comfortable and it's bright. And it smells good at least. Taurus is the energy of walking into a room and something in you goes, something doesn't smell right. Something doesn't smell good. And what does that mean for the body? In what ways, this is the Chiron element here, in what ways have we entered rooms and spaces that don't smell good, don't smell right, and we force ourselves to stay in that room anyway? That right there is what the Chiron and Taurus energy is all about, is understanding that there's something animalistic, something primal inside of all of us that enters a room, enters a space, and goes, I don't know about that. My body doesn't feel good. And yet it has been overridden by a wound, typically. In Chiron, we're looking at a wounding in the body, a wounding in those initial, like formative years where the body was saying no. And somewhere, somebody bigger might have forced it into a situation, might have gaslit the body. So much so, it's created distortion around what the body needs. How many of us say we're tired and we don't rest? We'll open up our phone, but opening up a phone is not resting, it's escaping. So this is what that Chiron wound is all about, an exploration of that, an exploration of what the body values, what we value, what is a clear yes, what is a clear no. It's a very sacral response. So in these moments where, okay, what do you want to eat? Do you want hot dogs? Do you want spaghetti? Do you want lobster? Right? It comes from the body. It comes from those sort of guttural root spaces. So if you want to exercise this Chiron wound in Taurus, get somebody sitting across from you, make a list of questions you've been wanting some answers about, and get someone sitting across from you to ask you these questions and just answer them with the sacral, answer them with the gut. It doesn't require an explanation of why yes, why no. Some things, values-wise, are just inherently simple. And we don't have to make it more complex than it is. And that's what we're looking at here with this Chiron wound in Taurus. Retrograde, what are we looking at with the retrograde? Well, we're looking at a concentration of this energy. Retrograde is not, I stand back and I'm not going to participate. No, retrogrades amplify the conversation even more. That's why people struggle with Mercury retrograde, because it's amplifying a need to slow down to effectively communicate. With the Chiron retrograde in Taurus, it's an amplification of these wounds around the body, because the body needs to know where it's at. It's one thing through that Chiron wound in Aries to, I want, I desire. But if the body does not catch up to that desire, then how are these desires ever going to manifest? It's not enough to just want, I think so much of that Chiron and Aries transit was like, well, what do you want? What do you desire? Right? And in that, boom, great, here's a desire. I'm placing an order. Where's that order? We have this Amazon primification around desires and manifestation. I'm waiting. It's not I want, I wait. It's I want and I create. And that's why Taurus is the body. It's the vessel where desire begins to form. If the body is not where the doesn't meet the desire, then anything we want is never going to be made manifest. We may want, but it's never going to happen. So now it's the next part of this conversation, Chiron and Taurus. The body being in that receptive mode for that desire to be made manifest, looking at the tension in the body, and then in a very practical way, healing and soothing that tension. And it can be as simple of, great, maybe your Chiron, if you have, let's say, Chiron in the 6th house, it's a wounding in the body around health. 6th house, we're looking at health, we're looking at wellness. So maybe during this Chiron retrograde, we start planning a diet of some sort. So we start fueling the body in beautiful ways. Instead of feeding it pizza and cake every day, let's start actually feeding it some nutrients so that the body could feel healthy. Chiron over here in Taurus in the 7th house, we're looking at relational health, right? Relational health. What is the body thinking or feeling in relationship to the people nearest to you? Where are the values aligned and where are the values clearly not? We have to talk. We have to bring words to what the body is experiencing as far as wherever those cracks are in the relationship. You know, if we're looking at a Chiron wound in the third house of communication, body language, we're looking at here. What is your body language saying? What is the body language of other people saying and communicating to you? This retrograde is an exploration of those things. And now the last thing I want to talk about here is Venus entering Libra. Now, Venus has been in Virgo for some time. Venus is a very Taurus planet. There's two faces to Venus. There's the Libra facing side to Venus, where everything is beautiful on the surface level. Everything is beautiful in connection with other people, and it's balanced. There's no confrontation. How wonderful. And there's a Taurus side of Venus where, like, on a physical level, everything is in its place, and I feel good in my body here, not just intellectually and aesthetically, right? Anytime we're looking at Venus, we're looking at values. We're looking at earthly values, and we're thinking of values in regards to social cohesion, people coming together, and the values that bring people together and the values that separate people. Now, with Venus in Virgo, which it has been for quite some time, we're looking at Venus, the values of Virgo, which is the values of the day in, day out, daily work, the unglamorous work, the value of building skills with our hands in a practical way. Venus in Virgo is also the values of feedback and criticism. I always talk about Virgo at its highest octave. When the space is created in that very Venus way where it's comfortable, Virgo then asks, well, are you ready for some feedback to the other person? And I'm also ready to receive some feedback as well. Here are my judgments. Here are my criticisms. How do you see yourself in this? And in that, we get to improve ourselves in relationship with each other and in relationship with self. We need that feedback. There's only so much we can explore in ourselves. We need other people. We need contact. So in that, we're looking at Venus, of course, values love. In Virgo, the love of skill, the love of feedback, the love of, hey, there's some room for improvement here. Let me tell you in the most loving way. There's room for growth. Here's something that can help you. And a lot of people are uncomfortable with that. We take criticism as an attack on our personal character, and we go to defend it in very egoic ways, right? Especially when it comes to feedback that isn't warranted. That's why with Venus, we're creating the environment for that feedback to actually be effective. And it's worth exploring while we have a couple more days of this Venus and Virgo transit, going into relationship with other people in that way. Okay. Now, the other layer here, we're now moving into Venus in Libra, where Libra is at home. Libra being at home here in Venus. And this is the Libra side of Venus, where, okay, things can also be cute. Things can also be beautiful. There is an energy here to Libra that it's a reminder of the finer things in life. It's the feeling of watching a beautiful piece of artwork. You see this beautiful piece of artwork and the body responds, and the heart responds. There's an exhale. There's a response of breath. Libra, air, right? Air, that feels good, right? Or the withholding of breath. There's tension here. And that's what we're looking at with Libra in relationship with other people, in relationship, period. Understanding that this whole world is relational, right? This whole world is relational. Everything is relationship. There is a relationship with other people. There's a relationship with these devices. There's a relationship with Earth. There's a relationship with all the many wonderful things that life has to offer. And Venus is that reminder here that things can be beautiful. Things can be beautiful as well. Things can be beautiful in relationship with others as well. So there's that to consider here when we think of Libra. In what ways is there tension? And what can we do in softer ways to loosen that tension so that we can be in a deeper contact with other people? Okay. So that's what we have so far for this general forecast. I guess, there is a lot more to this, and we'll get there shortly and eventually. But we're on the heels of an eclipse season right now, right? And in this understanding of eclipse season, what we're doing here is preparing the environment to to eclipse, right? And the eclipse will be in Leo of self. So as we think of the wound of the body, the wound of our values, all those many wonderful things, right? And an exploration of how do we soften the rigidity around these values so that we can connect with other people. South Node Leo is going to amplify the shadow of self, the shadow of the ego. So, in us looking at ego and this necessary ego dissolution, or just a softening of ego, how do these conversations between the Chiron and Taurus and the Venus and Libra apply to the softening of that ego? We're not killing the ego off per se. We're not killing the ego off, but we're bringing it into balance with these transits. We're bringing it into balance. Okay. So that's what I have going on for you all. That's what we have going on for this transit. I appreciate you. I value you. I'm going to move on to a personal reading for today. Someone booked a personal reading for today, and apologies for the delay here. This reading is going to be for Yvette. So, Yvette, wherever you are in the world, just let me know, and we will read for you. I'm just going to put your information in here so I can pull up your chart. Please stick around, friends, as well. Let's see. Yeah, I noticed that. I noticed that IG stopped. I'm trying to troubleshoot it and bring it back. I don't know what's going on here and why certain things are closing on me. Boo, boo, boo. All right. Curious about the Instagram live and why it shut down. Let's try this again. All right. So this is for Yvette. Hopefully, Yvette, I'm going to hop back on to just open up the transmission again on Instagram Live so that um, just in case Yvette is on there, I want to make sure. Beautiful. So there we are. We should be back up and running on both channels. And my sound should be good. Yeah, my sound is on. Okay, here we go. All right, Yvette, you're here. Yay. Awesome, love. Give me just 1 second. I had some technical difficulty, so I'm just troubleshooting a bit. Should be good. Okay. Amazing, amazing, amazing. Awesome. So, Yvette, here is your reading. Here's what to consider. As far as this healing journey you're on, right? And what a healing journey it is. I want to speak to your north and your south node. So this is north and south node. As an evolutionary astrologer, this is where my main focus lives in. We got north node, it's this horseshoe pointing up toward the North Star, and we got south node, this horseshoe pointing down. Now, North and South Node are your karmic keys. They're your comfort zone and the North Star, the stretch we're meant to grow into in this lifetime. And the one thing I want to mention here about this North and South Node is that it can be a little difficult. Let's talk about Scorpio and Taurus. We talked about Taurus in the beginning, so let's talk a little bit about Scorpio. Scorpio, where Taurus understands that in the body is responding in real time, in the moment, in the present moment. Scorpio looks beyond just the body to find out more information. That's why Scorpio is psychic intelligence, right? Emotional psychic intelligence, right? When we're looking at Taurus, we're looking at body intelligence, the wisdom of the body. And Scorpio, we're looking at the wisdom of our psychic abilities. What information exists beyond just the body, all right? So in that, Scorpio gets painted to be like a very witchy sign. They look in between. They look at subtext. Although the body might be like responding, bracing, Scorpio goes, there might be something deeper here. And, Scorpio would walk down the dark alleyway. Although the body's like, Mayday, 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 this is scary. This doesn't feel good. How much of that is true? Scorpio's like, it's just an alley. And you walk through the dark alley, nothing happens to you, right? And the body might be fighting it, but there's a lot of the body's responses that exist in the mind, right? The mind pulls like, oh, this has happened before, and then in turn might create a response in the body. Who knows? But with Scorpio, we're looking at that. We're looking at in between the lines here. South Node Scorpio, we're amplifying the shadow of Scorpio. And it's about looking in between the lines, but from a place of wounding, from a place of shadow. Dare I say, from a place of paranoia, even. Psychically, there is a response here from a wounded place that is not really where we're at here. South Node Scorpio, it paints the picture of someone who lived a tough life in the past. Struggle. That's what we're looking at with South Node Scorpio. Struggle and struggle and struggle and to still keep going. This feeling of I have to struggle my way through life. People hurt each other. People betray each other. And in that, great, this is life. It's a little morbid. It's a little gothic, but this is what we got. And deep down inside, you yearned to experience life in a beautiful way, in a joyous way, in a comfortable way. But somewhere along the way, we settled for scraps. Although there was damage caused, we started seeing the whole world through damage, through these wounds, through the grief, the pain, the suffering. It's very emo. It's a very much a gothic placement, this South Node in Scorpio. Now, the planets are the actors, the signs are the roles that they play, and the houses are the set design, the environment through which these actors play their scene. With South Node, we're healing something. It's the role of an actor who's coming to heal, to look at shadow, to look at comfort zone. What we're looking at with Scorpio through this is the comfort zone of Scorpio, the shadow of Scorpio. And the shadow of Scorpio is that. To be too wounded, to feel so jaded. Throw in the environment, the set design, 12th house. It's the house of endings. It's the house of death. It's the house of solitude. It's the house of the spiritual realm as well, what exists beyond just physical time, space, reality. So with this South Node Scorpio, I cannot help but think that here, maybe we're comfortable being alone. Maybe we're comfortable being alone. At least when we're alone, we won't get hurt. At least when we're in our work, we won't get hurt. The idea of needing other people might feel a little scary. And when we're alone, it's loud. 12th house is loud. Probably when we're in connection with other people, we're reminded of like, hey, actually, this is something I can trust. This is something my body wants. But then when we go alone, it's just like, yeah, they don't really like you though. Yeah, but maybe they're lying to you. Maybe they'll hurt you. Maybe they'll do this. That's what we're looking at here in that 12th house, a distortion of thoughts, of feelings, presented as intuition. So intuition here has been distorted through a wounded place. And the medicine here is to move to this North Node in Taurus, which the medicine is inherently simple. Although psychically, in the shadows, in this 12th house, all these voices, North Node Taurus, let's get into the body first. Let's make the body the temple that it is. You know, I think 12th house Scorpio, there's a tendency here to like hurt oneself, to victimize oneself. It's like, nope, our body, our mind space, our spirit deserves the finest things in life. North Node, Taurus. Where Taurus is like, hey, Scorpio, whatever it is you're obsessed about as being wrong, right here in front of you are a lot of good things. But you got to get your body into receptive mode so that, okay, here it is. It's right here in front of me. The medicine is simple. Stretch your body, yoga, go out for walks, hug a tree, eat food that actually fuels you. Hug people. Let yourself be hugged and touched by people, not only in physically, but in spirit. You can trust your body. You can trust yourself. And if you don't trust your body yourself, well, great. Here's the 6th house. North Node acting role, it's to North Star. Here is what we need to reach toward. What are we reaching toward? It's Taurian, it's Taurus. To reach towards Taurus at its highest octave, which is to embody yes and no, simply. Doesn't need to fight. I think Scorpio would fight in a very, you betrayed me, F you, F you, F you, how dare you, that scorpionic stinger, the Scorpio stinger, ka, 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 it hurts. But Taurus is simply like, no, I'm good, I'm not good, and I'm going to make it better. Because why struggle? Why suffer? Especially when the suffering is completely made up. It's not our doing. It doesn't belong to us. So what we're moving toward here we go, role of North Node in Taurus in the 6th house. This is the arena. This is the set design we're looking at. 6th house of health, wellness, service, skills, daily routines. With Taurus, we're looking at before we wake up and we open up the phone and the doom and gloom and the weight of it all. Great, let's move the body. Let's get the body here to somatically. Let's get the body here now. Let's stretch the body. Let's eat good food. Not the pizzas and the cakes and the all of it, although every once in a while treat yourself. But let's really fuel the body here. How we treat the body really matters. How we treat the body is how we see the world. So we got to take our health seriously in this lifetime and build actual skills in building this health and wellness. Trust and believe we'll build a yoga practice of some sort. And here's that South Node in Scorpio going, oh yeah, but you're not flexible. You can't bend that way. You'll never be a yoga master. Da, 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 da. Ouch, 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 ouch. And the North Node Taurus medicine of like, well, everybody has to start somewhere. I'll get better at this, but I love the way my body feels after than how I felt before going into this practice. Going out for walks, when we're alone, blue, 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 loud, 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 paranoia. The world is out to get us. But if we, instead of hermiting up in our little hobbit hole where we feel so wounded and jaded, I'm going to go out for a walk. I'm going to sit under a tree. I'm going to hug the tree. Sixth house of pets as well. I'm going to get a dog. I'm going to get a cat. I'm going to get a goldfish. And in the medicine of that animal holds the medicine of this North Node Taurus placement. It's so simple. Everybody talks about Taurus and they're like, all right, but it has to be more than that. No, the medicine of Taurus is inherently simple by design. I talk about this metaphor, this allegory of this like wounded cat. Here's this wounded cat. Let's make this cat three-legged, maybe missing an eye, walking around this earth in a very like South Node Libra way, like, oh, walk, 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 oh, walk, 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 oh, just like on edge. You know, you ever been with a cat who doesn't trust you? South Node Scorpio, right? South Node Scorpio. So this cat is just bopping around the world, wakes up and thinks, you know what? Today is going to be a good day. There's just something about it. The day looks and feels good. Sun is shining. It feels warm. There's a cool breeze. Like, wow, okay. You know what? Maybe today the world is not out to get me. Do, bopping down the street, turns the corner, and this stray cat, feral cat, sees 3 stray dogs, locks eyes with them, dog's hackles go up, and boom, begins the cat and mouse chase, right? The dogs are running after this cat. Cat's running for its life. Cat finds a tree, runs up this beautiful shady tree. Dogs can't climb up trees. Dogs lose interest, run away, walk away. Cat is still looking down, breathing heavily. After 5 minutes or so, this cat finds it in themselves to crawl down this tree, curl up in a perfect patch of cushy grass, and proceeds to fall asleep. Just sleeps, goes to sleep, really sleeping too, really taking this beautiful cat nap. Now, as humans, if this were a human, we're walking around with one leg and one missing eye, dogs lurching at us. We would need to go to 10 years of therapy to unpack the trauma of it all, right? Now, mind you, trauma is fucking real. I think Scorpio really understands that. Where it gets stuck is in translating the trauma into wisdom, and also not responding presently from that trauma, not responding every single day from that trauma state, because that trauma state just isn't here anymore. And that's the medicine of Taurus. It's not a happy cow. Taurus is the patron saint of all animals and our animalistic nature and instinct, which is very clear. There's a switch where there's danger, we turn it on and we react. And there's a switch where danger is over, we go to sleep, right? Instead of pathologizing and this is my trauma and this is what happens and all the 10 years of therapy that we would have to go through because of these dogs, and I don't trust dogs anymore because one day I was going to get mauled by them and that still sticks with me, and every day I wake up in a fight or fawn with why do we do this to ourselves? It's not here anymore. And practically speaking, this is the Taurus medicine, not all dogs are going to attack you. Not all people are going to cause harm. The world is not out to get you in the way you think it is. It's distortion. And what many of us are walking around is with this South Node and Scorpio energy. Distortion. Distortion. We're looking at the world as if it's out to get us, creating that, seeing that, when it's not true. It's not the full picture. That cat who crawled down that tree has just as much Buddha consciousness as any of us are capable of. They still found a way to turn the light off and go to sleep. Really rest. Vulnerable still in a patch of grass, right? The dogs can come back, but the dogs aren't there. And that cat trusts that if the dogs were to come back around, I can hear the grass. I can hear walk. I'm still here. I'm still sensing the world around me. I'm just sensing the world around me for what it is now instead of the battlefield it was before. Instead of the battlefield it was before. Because right now, if you really try, if you really just let that shit go, even just for the 5 minutes, let your pain, let your grief, let the angst, let the shadows, let the bones, let the skeletons, let the dead fucking elephant in the room, let that shit go. If you were to actually give yourself that permission to do it, you would find that right here, right now, we are truly living in the Garden of Eden. Listen to where that lands in your body. It's a stretch, right? And that's the reason why we have this north and south node. It is a stretch. It's not supposed to be easy, but that's why we did this. We lived a life of struggle already, of constantly seeing the world as if it were out to get us. So much so that we outcasted ourselves completely from society. But this North Node in Taurus is over here dangling a delicious ripe mango and going, baby, look at how beautiful this world is. Look at how abundant it is. Look at how rich it is. The seeds in a bell pepper carry enough seeds to grow 10,000 bell peppers if we wanted to. And yet we're fighting in this very South Node Scorpio energy of the scarcity of it all, right? Oh yeah, but Taurus is over here going like, yeah, but look at all these beautiful, bountiful fruits and vegetables and all of them have seeds and everything. And Scorpio goes, yeah, but you know what they're doing, right? They're creating seedless fruits and vegetables. One day we're not going to even have seeds. And Taurus is like, fuck the one day. How about right here, right now? Go take a seat somewhere. Ew. Go check yourself. Well, like, check yourself. Because, like, the point is right now there's seeds. Right now there's abundance. And all it takes is an effort. Removing the general humdrum malaise and melancholy you walk with, how we reach for melancholy before we reach for joy. We reach for the pain before we reach for the wisdom. We reach for struggle before giving our body an ounce of peace. We reach for, I just need peace and quiet. I just need peace and quiet. I just need peace and quiet. Instead of just being and embodying peace and quiet now. It doesn't require a vacation. It doesn't require a trip somewhere. It just requires you to be here now. And here now, okay, wow, my body is really amped up right now. It's anxious. It's hyperventilating. Like, okay, body. Oh my gosh, my shoulders. How long have they been up here? My shoulders are up to my ears. Let's bring them down. Holy moly. My eyebrows. They've been up here for how long? Let's bring those eyebrows down. Let's relax the face muscles, the jaw muscles. Oof. Holy shit, where have I been? How long have I been in that? How long have I been in that battlefield? I need a glass of water. Hold on. And little by little, by being here, we start bringing the body back down to earth. Down to earth. And when we're down to earth, everything abundant can grow from that. All right, dear. All right. That's what I have for you, Yvette. Yvette. Thank you for your contribution. Thank you for saying yes to this reading. I hope it lands for you in beautiful ways. You can go back and listen to the replay once it's all done and said. You'll be getting a confirmation email afterwards with that. A few things I want to mention here, okay? So, we're coming up to eclipse season. Now, all of these explorations of self and where we are in the body and the this and the that, all of this conversation serves something. We are really looking at this Taurus theme in a collective way, especially with Taurus being Chiron being in Taurus, right? So we're looking at the wounding of values and how we limit the body in many ways to just be here. To just be here now. In that, I've opened up my my readings and stuff. My readings for this month. So I'll be doing 10 one-on-one eclipse readings. 10 one-on-one eclipse readings where we'll look at this South Node Leo eclipse, where it's hitting your chart, how it's affecting your chart. And you'll be able to do it. It's discounted right now. So it's at a discounted rate. I posted the link right now. It's pinned in this chat on Instagram Live. I'm posting the link in the chat here as well on YouTube. So if you want to talk about this, where that Chiron and Taurus is hitting, what does that Venus and Libra mean? Where does it all relate and connect? Then book a one-on-one reading with me. The feedback in these one-on-one readings have been bountiful and fruitful. This is a framework that just really works. So there's a few slots available still for eclipse season. I'll be walking you through the South Node eclipse in Leo. We still have a partial eclipse happening in Pisces at the end of the month as well. So it's a eclipse season reading where I'll walk you through and what sort of major change is being presented right now with the astrology. So go check it out. I'll post a link as well in the description and whatnot on the YouTube replay once it's posted and ready to go. So anybody watching the replay will be able to go back in and check that out. So that's what we have going on. I will be back on Friday for more chart room readings, these little mini one-on-one, this little mini readings. These are like 15 minutes, and I really just focus on one aspect I see in your chart. You have a whole wheel to work with, and that's what the one-on-one sessions are all about. So there's that. If you comment chart right now on Instagram, then you will be able to, I will DM you my booking links. So if you comment chart on Instagram, I'll DM you the booking links. And again, for my YouTube subscribers, I will be posting that in the description here very shortly. But ultimately, that's what we're looking at here. That's what we're looking at here. Last little nugget. Things are moving and they're changing in the collective. If you've been enjoying these conversations, being in shared space, for $11.99 a month, you can join the collective. It's my private membership community. And you get the following from that. You'll get a personalized, based off your rising sign, a personalized new and full moon reading, a live Zoom workshop where we integrate the medicine of these lunations, a private membership community to ask your questions, integrate the astrology, all that wonderful stuff. Also, book club is coming back. Book club is coming back. That'll be included in that membership. There'll be one book per season, which will be having one-off monthly sessions, live sessions to integrate, have discussions, all those wonderful things. On top of that, every single month in this collective opportunity, we have something called the parking lot. Now, the parking lot is a live Zoom session where you'll be able to ask all your questions. You'll be able to just open it all up. We can pull up your chart right there, do a hotspot situation in real time. And that'll happen every month as well, with an every season open mic night. So at the end of every season, we'll have an open mic night to, express and to create with the astrology in ways that feel really good. That's a lot of resource. On top of that, you also get Rooted and Rising, which is um, my astrology course, one of my astrology courses where I walk you through the whole entire wheel. So there's a lot in this offering. $11.99 a month. And you get all of that. You get a community. You get live Zoom rooms. You get courses. You get book club. You get open mic nights. You get live Q&A in real time where I can actually see you and we can have a conversation about this stuff where it's not just me. That as well, I'm posting the link in the chat on Instagram. Go check it out. Sign up. I'm posting it as well on YouTube. Go check it out if you haven't signed up for it already. We would love to have you in that space. The very first book club won't begin until October, and we will be reading All About Love by Bell Hooks. So that'll be our first book club for that first winter season. So look at that. Feel into that. Watch what happens there. And go into the conversations. There are a lot of people getting a lot of value from this. There's only so much I can, provide in just these one-off live sessions. And that's why I really want you to be a part of the next chapter, the next iteration of the collective, okay? Of the collective. So there's that. I appreciate you. I value you. And I hope that in the future we get to keep working at this. And there's that. There's that. So what would you like for the remaining part of this session? I want to open up this space. We don't have any more readings on the books. So let's go ahead and talk here. Any questions you have about astrology, personal questions, whatever, anything goes. I think for the last half an hour, I'd love to focus on questions that the space has. And if there's any way I can help you, any wisdom or information I can share, then I would love to help you. So let's go ahead and do that. Questions, anybody? What do you have for me? Mm-hmm. Just wait here for some questions. Was the weekly forecast at the beginning? Yes, the weekly forecast was at the very beginning. If you want the replay of these live sessions, go to my YouTube channel. If you're watching on Instagram Live, go to my YouTube channel. It's Color Me Crazy TV. I'm actually going to help you out here and I'll post it in the chat so you can go to it easily. So this is for Instagram Live, folks. There's a playlist where I post all of these live replays in. So go ahead, check that out, watch what happens. Lots of juicy information. You can catch the beginning of the forecast on there. Thank you for asking. How do you use your chart to help you trust the process? Lots of major changes for so many of us right now. Ooh, I really love this question, and I think I can really speak to it. How do we use the chart? This is what we're talking about here. This is what we're looking at here. I'm going to start getting in a habit of spotlighting and pinning the question here. This is what we're talking about. So here's the question. How do you use your chart to help you trust, right? I'm going to bring up the collective chart here for a second to talk about why astrology, right? There's a lot of people Who knows? What's in alignment for me is that astrology fails as a predictive model. As far as like the specifics go, that is completely up to us. That is where our free will, our choice really comes into picture. Astrology is illuminating a pattern, right? This right here in the chart, this is the wheel of life. That is what we're looking at here. Round and round a wheel goes. Where does it stop? Well, astrology knows. Astrology knows. So in these patterns, in the circle of life, there's a time for birth in the first house, and there's a time for death. We are born and we go through this whole wheel, becoming bigger and going back into the earth, right? Now, collectively, there are major planets, the outer planets they're known as, which take a little while to move from sign to sign. You know, with Pluto right now being in Aquarius, we have Pluto in Aquarius till about the year 2044, right? It's a long transit. We're talking about a couple decades for Pluto to switch to another sign, approximately 248 years for it to return back to the sign. So it takes 248 years for Pluto to come back to Aquarius, right? Equivalent, we're talking about Neptune and Aries as an outer planet, where Neptune is, it takes 14 years for Neptune to move around the wheel, right? To move around the wheel. We have Neptune and Aries till about the year 2038. The year 2038. Uranus is another outer planet. It takes about 7 years for Uranus to change signs. You know, with the exception of Saturn here, technically, outer planet, takes about 2.5 to 3 years for Saturn to switch signs. And then Jupiter, being the largest planet, closer to the sun, takes about 12 months for Jupiter to switch signs. So moving from that outside in, we have Pluto being the longest transit, then onto Neptune, then onto Uranus, then onto Saturn, and then eventually Jupiter. All the other planets, the inner planets, they don't take as long, right? So they kind of show up for like a season here and there, but the wisdom of those inner planets, it takes a minute for us to actually grasp onto what they're talking about. So the reason why I'm explaining all of this in regards to astrology is that these outer planets, since they take so long to move from sign to sign, give us a general idea of the weather pattern we're in, the energetic weather pattern we're living in. It gives us a general look at, okay, here is the change, here is the shift, not to control the shift, but to look at ourselves as active participants in these changes. I think the trust that astrology shows me and has shown in my one-on-one relationships and the collective, you name it, is that the only thing constant is change. Know where you are on this wheel, know what changes are coming up collectively and personally, and there you have some choices you can make. When we make choices that are in relationship with our highest intent, and your chart points you toward that highest intent, we typically find someone who feels like they're growing, even in the uncertainty. You know, astrology helps us find ourselves in this eye of the storm. Here's the storm. Here is all this energy, right? And astrology, when we really embody the wisdom and the philosophy of it, boom, we find ourselves in the center, right? And in the center of the storm, in the center of the hurricane, doesn't mean the chaos stops. It just means in the center, there's more discernment of the environment we're in and how best to act, how best to move. Sometimes not moving is the best choice, but inaction is also an active choice. It's also an action. So now that technically you probably understand this wheel a little bit more, here we go. Let's bring in the general weather pattern, right? The overall generational weather pattern that's moving through with these outer planets. First with Pluto. Pluto being the longest transit. Last time Pluto was in Aquarius was during the Revolutionary War. Here in the States, in the United States, it also was French Revolution over in Europe. It was Haitian Revolution as well. So across the world, we saw these themes of war, revolutionary war. What is Pluto? What role does Pluto play? Pluto is an excavator. It's a detective. It's a shaker of chains. It forces us to look beyond the veil and to look at the shadow to understand what needs to change. So that's what we're looking at with Pluto. It's the sign of change. It's the patron saint of change here. But in a revealing way, even in its uncomfortableness, in a revealing way that the collective goes, holy shit, I can't not see it. I can't unsee it. In Aquarius, we're looking at, okay, what is changing? Aquarius, innovation, technology, collectivism, us coming together as one, not as carbon copies of the same ones, but as little fragments of one. And in that there's unity, right? Aquarius, it's the dissolving the emotional ego enough so that practically we can be in conversation with other people's perceptions, even if it isn't inherently our own perception. We're looking at the change of perception when it comes to Aquarius as well. Aquarius, fixed air. Fixed air. Air is the only element of the whole zodiac. And in the whole zodiac, we have fire, we have earth, we have air, and we have water. Air is the only alchemical element that we can't not hold on to, but we can't help but feel and touch. It's the only thing that's always present physically in the room somewhere, right? We can't help but feel a breeze in the room, right? We can't help but also energetically, beyond what we can see with our naked eyes, experience a perception of reality. Air is always present, always present. And now we're taking that energy and we're fixing it, right? We're fixing air here. We're fixing perception. Or we're looking at fixed perception. And Pluto here is going, that fixed perception needs to die because it's limiting a much more expansive perception. So let's look at the history here. Back during the Revolutionary War, as problematic as it is today, and this is the thing, we're revisiting these conversations today. It was a liberation of peoples of some sort. It was a liberation of tyranny. We, like US, as it was being colonized and being formed initially, was this energy of like, no, the people should be sovereign. We don't want to live under monarchy. Off with tyranny. Tyranny needs to die. We don't want to pay taxes to a government over here that's just like profiting off of us. We want to be a sovereign nation. The asterisk here of just like, yeah, of course, sovereign nation, but they were like literally genociding the natives here in the States. So like there's a little hypocrisy here. But the culture of the time, like that was the general like accepted thing, as problematic as it was. So in that Pluto and Aquarius, we started popping this perception of like rulership of the people being this solitary thing of just like one king, one queen, and everything underneath it trickles, right? So Pluto in Aquarius, through tension, through the bursting of bubbles and perceptions, presented this feeling of just like, great, we're coming together. Here's a movement. Here's resistance. And in that, we shaped a new perception of democracy. Modern day democracy was birthed during that Pluto and Aquarius transit. And it started shifting perceptions across the globe. Every time we see a major Aquarian transit, there's a globalization that comes through. We are all here in our little nations in a very Leo way. Like, this is my country, and this is my country, and this is my country, and mine. But Aquarius really wants to pierce through those perceptions to create an even bigger bubble where the boundaries are dissolved, right? So birth of modern day democracy, that's what we're looking at with Pluto in Aquarius, through tension, through perception shifting. Now, we're back at that same point today. generationally. It's a huge transit for us until the year 2044. Come 2044, how we perceive physical reality, connections with other people, is going to radically shift and change. I'm not predicting anything here, but I'm looking at what the conversations we're having and how this Pluto and Aquarius transit could, correlate with it, the interpretation by using this transit. I'm looking at AI, right? I'm looking at AI and how AI, this technological innovation, here's the other face of Aquarius, is like, equal parts all for humanity and disgusted by them. So in the sort of like disgust and the ew of like your emotions are getting in the way of us coming together, great, I'm going to detach myself and I'm just going to look at humanity as data points. I'm going to look at perception as data points. And there's that cold, sort of detached, mechanical, technological influence of Aquarius. So there is on one side of the spectrum, sure, who knows, maybe AI will become fully sentient during this transit and will, in a very Thanos way, snap its fingers and goodbye. Goodbye, humanity. You are a parasite, a poison to this earth. And since you cannot see it, since you can't get over yourself, here is Judgment Day. Goodbye, in some way. Who knows? This is all interpretation. I'm not predicting anything here. On the other side of the spectrum, we can see this sort of technology actually helping us be that bridge to like, okay, cool, this can help us connect with each other, understand each other. And it's the next level of communication where AI could be potentially, once we figure out the whole environmental issues with AI, could be an answer to this tension that we all carry of just like, I don't want to do these jobs. I want to individuate in a way that feels good, in a way that actually treats this life in a precious way. So great, here it is. Here's something that can help us deal with these jobs, with these things, so that these desires could maybe form in another way. Of course, we got to look at the damages when it comes to Pluto here, and Pluto is unforgiving in that. We got to look at the shadow, and we also have to look at the higher octave. So there's that. Or there's also another part of me that's percolating with this Pluto and Aquarius transit, thinking of the death of a perception of some sort and the birth of another is extraterrestrial life. Maybe that's the next level for that, where what is considered as extraterrestrial begins to reveal itself. And I'm really looking at these UFO videos that are surfacing, that are getting released by the government. I'm looking at this amplification of unidentified aerial phenomenon. And I'm looking at that as being inherently Aquarian, of just like, yeah, we're not thinking outside of our boxes enough. So in that, perhaps there is an extraterrestrial essence that makes itself revealed, maybe not in the way pop culture has thought it to be revealed, or maybe in a different way. What is this oxygen we're breathing in? What's to say it's not an alien life form of some way? Maybe it's been stagnant, and all of a sudden, in a very telepathic way, here it is. That extraterrestrial intelligence comes online within the body, and it's like, hold on. And the thing is, like, they've been here the whole time. But how does it manifest in the world, right? Could it be those grays and those big eyes, something physical, or could it be something that we totally never considered? And Pluto being that planet of revelation and like revealing through tension, through discomfort, through the things we hold on to, a perception that was probably more so was right in front of our face the whole time. And in that, perhaps as nuclear warfare is amplifying in a very Star Trek way, extraterrestrial intelligence comes through and just is like, hey, we're going to turn this off because y'all are killing each other. And perhaps that creates a globalization of the human race in a positive way. And I would caution here, probably these countries would look at it in a very fearful way and go to war. And like, maybe we'll propagandize this idea of like, oh, this is the true threat. And now we have to fight this thing. And, we forget that it just becomes another face of what we're going through tension-wise here as a human race. So I'm looking at this Pluto and Aquarius transit and this question here of like lots of major changes for so many right now. And I would say probably embracing that the one true constant is change, that there is no escape from uncertainty. And if there's anything that we can do right now, is to recognize that there's an opportunity here to create certainty in one's self, certainty in one's ability to critically think, to discern, to create, to be in the body. So I would say here, like, what skills do we got to build now to help us become better agents of change? When you think of yourself becoming an agent of change in this world generationally, how can we channel and challenge our preconceived perceptions through building skills, through building connection, through dissolving the emotional ego that has us trapped in the, only perception, only way of seeing reality? If there were another reality here to feed, because that's what Aquarius is all about. It's fixed air, fixed perception. And here's the thing, perception can be created. It's created with our laws, our thoughts, our conversations, our actions. All of that is creating an echo chamber of some sort. And Pluto is the death of an echo chamber. And with that, we get to birth a new one. So what echo chamber do you want to birth here? What echo chamber is coming online? What skills do you bring to the table? It doesn't change uncertainty, but I think it can help us trust the process even more. Because what's worse is looking at the change and not actively participating in it. Looking at the change, experiencing the change, and resisting it. I have empathy and space and compassion for people who are really struggling, but I'm losing my patience with folks who are like, when is it gonna stop? I just am, in a very Aries way. I'm losing my patience. I'm just like, it never does. Life doesn't just stop. Death doesn't just stop. None of this experience just stops. Even in the death process of it all, death is still a very active process. Nothing just stops when we die. But there is room for peace and discernment amidst all the change that is happening. There's space for it. And why not explore that? It doesn't stop, never ends. We are constantly evolving and changing. I think it's time for us to, get more comfortable with that. Get more comfortable with change. Get more comfortable with another headline, another thing. Yeah, the bubble is bursting, and it has to. It has to. Because outside of just this frivolous fight over who is deemed valuable or worthy of life or worthy of citizenship, this planet is fucking dying. And we're accelerating that death with how wasteful we are, the culture of convenience, the culture of consumption. Culture is truly a poison. Terrence McKenna talked about this, how culture is a poison. It can be a poison. And in that, it's great, how do we influence culture then? That's what we're looking at here with these South Node eclipses in Leo, patron saint of influence, of look at me. And now with Aquarius fixing that influence in a positive way, hopefully, in a way that's not just about you and also serves a vision, something that pushes humanity forward. Because we didn't come here, we came here to become future ancestors who pass that baton on to the next generation. The buck doesn't stop with us. The buck is always beginning with every generation. Every generation. It's forever beginning. It's never ending. And that's the gift. This universe hasn't stopped expanding. It's still growing exponentially, mind you. It hasn't ended. It hasn't said, okay, I'm done now. It is a literal manifestation of our eternal desire. Eternal desire. And your desire is proof that the physical reality and perception of it is possible and probable. But you got to feed it enough. Give that life just as much as you're giving life to the culture of convenience and consumption. You got to give that just as much energy as you give energy to these other things that have you feeling, but when is it ever going to end? You got to. You have to. You get to. It's worth giving that life. Okay? All right. All right. I know y'all asked other questions, but I just felt like this one question was so potent and is the perfect example of how I navigate astrology. It's not a crutch. It's absolutely a tool. It doesn't predict, but it does show us a pattern. In the past, during the Revolutionary War, during the French Revolution, Haitian Revolution, there's plenty of history book examples to illustrate how that culture handled that change, whether or not they knew there was astrology related to it or a correlation to astrology to it. Who knows? But the astrology just happens. The coincidence that astrology presents is the mystery part of this school of thought. So it's like, whoa, what are the chances that these people even like knew that they were playing out this story, this archetypal story so perfectly? But in that, the culture had agency and choice of how they handled what they were feeling needed to change. We get to do the same now as Pluto is in Aquarius this time around. We get to handle this moment with agency, with choice. We get to create the culture who handles this change. At the time, what they had were muskets and bows and arrows and, guns and all the things to, work that tension out. And in this lifetime, I would say, A, we probably know a little better. B, yeah, people are probably going to still and have already shown us that they're going to use violence to assert a dominance around perception. But we get to utilize all these tools, the sharing of information, right? The connection, the community, the building and bridging of community, the building of, who knows, maybe a solar punk reality that uses technology in positive ways. We get to influence the culture with this pattern that's moving through. And thankfully, Pluto in Aquarius, it supports out of the box thinking. It supports making movements, but in relationship to our capacity to think outside that box, to give current day humdrum social conformity, everyday reality, a big old fucking middle finger and go, no, I don't want to fucking participate like that anymore. I want to do it my own way, our own way. So there's that. Long-winded tangent. I can talk about this shit all day. I have lots of thoughts about Pluto and Aquarius. Probably worth doing a little masterclass on Pluto and Aquarius. So there is that as well. The question here in relationship to this question, how do you use your North Node to create change? You do the North Node work. You really do the North Node work. I think a good example about this question, how to utilize your North and South Node. Let's look at collectively what the North and South Node is right now. Right now, it just changed. South Node Leo, North Node Aquarius. What we're looking at with any North and South Node transit is polarity. It's duality. It's yin and yang, this and that. North and South Nodes are always opposite of each other. And in the middle, they both want the same thing. Leo wants to be seen, and Aquarius wants to be seen in relationship to the collective as an individuated self. Leo, we're looking at influence and expression and creativity and the visibility that comes through that. And Aquarius wants that visibility to serve something more than just oneself. With Leo, we're looking at social media. Do you like me? Do you love me? Do you comment? Do you this? Do you that? I'm doing a YouTube series on this very soon, by the way. And with Aquarius, we're looking at social media, really us being together in it as an individuated self, not as, the algorithmic self, which is very Leo, shadow Leo territory of like, okay, cool, this is how I get likes. How do I manipulate the stage so that you validate me? I get the likes. But with South Node here in Leo, it's an insatiable yearning and need for validation. Now, mind you, on one side of the spectrum, validation is necessary. It's needed. We need that. And validation gives us that felt sense of belonging. I was just like, okay, cool. Like when we tell a joke with a friend and our friend laughs, like, oh my God, you're so funny. So good. And the nervous system responds like, yeah, cool, awesome. I'm not going crazy. That's great. But with South Node, we're looking at the shadow of that. We're looking at the shadow of influence as well. Take a look at this fixed Aquarius, fixed air energy. Everyone is in an echo chamber of some sort. And at the top of these echo chambers, this is an echo chamber right now. And at the top, I'm in a very Leo way. Here I am in an authority position. You're asking me questions, I'm giving you an answer. That responsibility of influence, is something that I don't know if we consciously look at. And it's something that I'm looking at in myself, of just like, great, how do we really handle influence in a way that creates echo chambers that give other people and inspire other people to have autonomy and agency and free will and free choice. So South Node Leo, we're looking at the shadow of that influence. I look at Trump, the Orange Cheeto himself. He's a Leo rising. Well, and this sort of like how when we're insecure or maybe secure about our truth, I think it exists in both insecure and secure in truth, no matter how positive or negative it is, that becomes a dominating force in the room. That becomes a dominating force in the room. And that, it sucks up all the air, all the energy. And that's what we're looking with South Node in Leo. It's the loudest voice in the room, in our rooms, where we want to be loud in our rooms, and asking in a very North Node Aquarius way, does it push humanity forward? Or does it just add to another echo chamber that's old and tired? We're looking at the shadow of Leo collectively of like wanting to be seen, wanting to be visible. But who does this visibility serve with North Node in Aquarius? Does it make us feel connected, even in what makes us different? South Node Leo is really also about creativity here and the creative self. Identity is a creative act. Identity is a creative expression. Identity is art. I wear my glasses in a South Node Leo way, just a Leo way. I wear my glasses. I put on the costume. And boom, I'm color me crazy. There's an energy behind it. There's an energy to me on screen in front of a camera when people are watching. And there's an energy when the camera is off. When I'm just with my partner, when I'm just with my friends. There's some similarity, there's a through line here, but this echo chamber and how we express what we don, clothing-wise, all of it, is putting out something. It's putting out light. Even in its darkness, we're emitting darkness. It's emitting something. And that emission, it has resonance with people. People resonate. Resonance creates perception. So with South Node Leo, I cannot help but thinking collectively, us looking at that, looking at resonance. And in a very North Node Aquarius way, how we resonate matters. How we resonate, how we illuminate has consequence. What we illuminate in our own individuated Leo way, because we all have this Leo energy in our chart somewhere. Is it contributing to the collective greater good? What perception does it create? What influence does it create? I talk about influencing, and when people ask me what I do in my work, I hesitate to say I'm an influencer half of the time I say I'm an influenza or this sort of like jab at how influence can make us sick sometimes. You know, you open up these apps and these algorithms and look at all these chambers, look at all the energy there, right? And just like, wow, influencing can make us sick, can create realities that make us sick. So I use that as just like a practice in looking at myself and how I handle influence. Does it inspire? Does it build bridges? Does it burn them down? And in burning it down, what am I building in its place, you know? That is how we work with that north and south node. So the stretch here is Aquarius for us collectively, is to dissolve the narcissistic egoic self, which is the shadow of Leo. It's narcissism. It's all about me. And think of a more discerning, individuated, critical thinking self, where we're asking more questions of self in relationship to the collective. And that's an uncomfortable thing, especially with South Node Leo collectively. There are these like, no, but I do, and me, and me. This need to defend self. But what if this defense of self is a part of the problem? And how does this defense of self connect us? Does it connect us? Something worth looking at here. There's a lot more to the individuated self that we have not considered. Okay? All right, friends. On that note, I think I'm done tangenting. I think this is it. And scene. I'm going to hop off this session. Thank you for being here. Thank you for your questions. Thank you for the love and support you've poured into this community. Join the collective, my private membership community. Sign up for an eclipse reading if you want to know what this eclipse season is all about. Lots of ways for you to get involved. I've tried my best to make all of my offerings like as accessible as possible. There's payment plans available for some of these one-on-one readings. There's also Elemental. We're starting Elemental Air very soon, where I go through for 6 weeks. Gemini. I go through Libra. I go through Aquarius, 2 weeks each, and what they mean evolutionarily, how to find them in your chart, how to work with this element of air. I'm currently in fire right now. Enrollment has closed for that. Enrollment will open for elemental air very soon. So be a part of the community. I'll be posting all my announcements on there. If you want to know about offerings as they come through as well, go to my Instagram profile, sign up for the crazy ones. It's a channel. You can join the crazy ones. It's a channel. And in that channel, I usually post whenever I'm announcing an offering or something that's coming through, open enrollment, etc. So lots of ways to get involved. Check out all those things. I appreciate you. I value you so much. I'll see you on Friday, okay? Friday. All right. Lots of love, everyone. Bye for now. Thank you.